keeping cribbers entertained. In my case, the boy does live in a run-in, so there's no stalling boredom there. Sorry, I got really excited to say the does because she put in all capitals.
Does, okay.
So he lives in a run-in, so there's no stall boredom, but he's still a cribber.
Oh, so that's the question. She wants ways to keep him entertained.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not really a question, a lot of statements, but that's apparently what's
all
happening.
Right. Waiting for the question. All right. So cribbing. This is a hot topic of research right now, which is good because there's not that there's a lot of cribbers, but it's when your horse is a cribber, it's
annoying.
It is annoying. So what are the reasons? What are the negatives of being a cribber? It's not just that it's annoying to have to listen to it. They can crib to the extent that they don't eat.
Yep.
And so they become thin. They're the hard keepers. The jury is out whether cribbing actually causes colic.
I hear that one a lot.
I hear it a lot. It could be, if you know that cribbing causes your horse colic, then you have to do something about it. It wears down their teeth because they hook their teeth onto a surface and pull, and so their incisors get worn down. And then it's destructive on the property.
Yep.
Right? So there are some reasons why cribbing would be not something you want to allow to happen. On the other hand, the researchers are now saying it's not a boredom issue.
Oh.
It's a coping mechanism.
Really?
They're coping with stress, especially environmental stress, but it could be pain, anxiety, frustration. And in order to be, we've dispelled the myth now that you catch cribbing by seeing another horse doing it. Horses don't imitate or copy other cribbers, so that's not a concern.
So it's not like the horse's mom was a cribber, so therefore it watched the mom and now is a cribber.
Its mom was a cribber, and now it could be a cribber because it's genetic.
Interesting.
Yeah, but not because you allowed a cribber to
behavior.
move into the barn and now the horse next to it cribs. That's not what happens. If a horse begins to crib, it's because it had the genetic predisposition.
So it's a genetic component to this.
It is. And something triggered it. Stress triggered it. And so the horse copes with the stress by cribbing.
And it could be a physical stress, or it could be just stress for its job or something of that nature.
Could be. Well, one of the premier cribbing researchers, Dr. Daniel Mills from the University of Lincoln in the UK, he says about half of cribbers, they will begin at about 20 weeks of age. And what happens at 5 months?
Weaning?
Weaning. Weaning is the most stressful thing that will probably ever happen to a horse, because you're taken away from your mom, you're moved, you have a change in diet, and probably to a high sweet feed, a high grain type diet. And sweet feed itself is linked to cribbing.
Interesting.
So it's stress, not boredom. It's coping. And so in this situation, the run-in is better than a stall, but it's not as good as pasture.
So they use it almost as a way of like self-soothing in a sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the things that you would want to do for a horse that cribs is provide them with full turnout onto a pasture. Okay, with buddies.
Okay.
So this social aspect of this is very, very important. A high forage diet is key. They have to have that long stem roughage. Avoiding sweet feed type grains is key. And oats seems to be okay. There was a study in 2011 out of Cornell, and they found that, I think to her what she's trying to get at, that stall toys can help with cribbing if they're the kinds that encourage horses to lick and chew.
Okay.
Because they videoed cribbers, and they found that cribbers, all of them licked like a preemptory lick before they started cribbing. So they're like, if we can put a stall toy in a horse's area that encourages him to lick, maybe he'll just keep licking and not actually hook onto anything and crib.
Interesting.
So, but they found a reduction in the number of crib bites by doing that.
Okay, so this guy is already starting off on a great start by having a run-in, so he's already having some access to turnout. If we can potentially expand that to pasture with a friend.
And make sure he's got a buddy. Yep.
And then hopefully that will help potentially.
Right. The other thing they're saying is maybe we should just let these horses crib. I mean, one of the titles of the articles I read was...
well, now you're just blowing everyone's
I know,
mind.
it's crazy. Was the horses need pacifiers.
They need pacifiers?
Cribbers,
Yeah.
maybe. I think of it as, they talked about redirecting the cribber. So maybe you don't want the horse to crib on a specific fence or board or stall gate or whatever. So you could redirect them much like you redirect your cat from your new sofa to the scratching post.
Yeah.
So you give the horse a safe place to crib, maybe a rubber edged flat, horizontal surface that so they won't crib on wood or metal or something that's maybe unsafe or wears down their teeth as much.
So giving them a safe outlet to.
Yeah, because if there's stress in their lives and they're frustrated, and their quirk, their genes tell them crib to cope with this, and then we do not allow them to crib, it just makes it worse. So allow them to crib, maybe not all the time, maybe some of the day. Maybe they wear their cribbing collar half the day and they're free half.
Okay.
So the hybrid approach is something that's being sort of put forward by experts right now.
Perfect. Especially since you're saying there's currently no research tying directly to colic and things of that nature.
As soon as a study comes out that says, yep, there's a link, then another study comes out and says, nope, there's no link. So
we're not ready to make that call
what it could be is, if you know in your horse that your horse cribs and then he colics, then you're maybe someone who has to keep their horse in the collar. But if you have a horse that has not colicked, then I would explore this new way of thinking of maybe just let him be. It's okay to crib.
It would cause me a lot less stress trying to remember to put the cribbing collar on.
Yeah, and now tied, and they get
Yeah.
scars from it, and it's
It's not fun.
it's probably not comfortable.
No, for sure. And I feel bad when I have to put it on. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, I hope that helps you out, Lauren, and let us know how your guys doing.